Okay, welcome to the updated heap drop storage tutorial or HDS tutorial. In the 2 years since the last one, or the first one, I'd say I understand the trick a bit more, so the tutorial should be a bit better. Okay. Without further ado, let's start off with the buffered heap drop storage. It's the easiest if you only have your slingshot on your face buttons and not the net. You can do it with the net, but I'll just show it without. Okay, you double jump and you pull back the slingshot to go into first person, and then you wanna pause with select. And before, I make sure that you wait a bit before you hit select, because if you don't wanna be too quick like that, that's way too early, it's not gonna work. Unless you delay on the next input. Okay, so when you are in this situation, you wanna hold L3, hit select to unpause, and then hit select again to pause. Okay, so now all you have to do is put your net over the slingshot, and when you unpause, you wanna hit L3 to ground pound, like that. Okay, now is the most difficult, the only difficult part about the trick in my opinion, the jump. So you wanna hold the right stick up, or really any direction, but I like to hold up. And then you have 4 frames to jump out of the ground pound animation. And if you do it correctly, you should fly. Like that. You can try to mash it with alternating R1 and R2, but that runs the risk of accidentally transforming instead like this, because you need to press them both to do that. I'll put 2 reference images on the screen, so you can hopefully get something out of that. So you can also do it with the net on your face buttons already, and it's the exact same thing, but now, instead of switching the net over the slingshot, you wanna keep holding L3, unpause and hit X, like that. Now you can do the ground pound. So you unpause, if you even paused here because it's not necessary, and hit L3 the ground pound. Do the jump. The difference between these two is that if you don't have the net here, you can buffer the first person crawl like this, and then switch the net over. But with the net already there, you have to hold L3 as you switch over to the net, otherwise it won't work. Oh yeah, I think I forgot to mention that heap drop storage ends when you stop holding the right stick, or if you turn too quickly, because that makes Sayaka swing the net again. So let's say I hold the D-pad right. Sayaka swung and it ended the flight. Or if you turn the net too quickly, it will also make Sayaka swing. But you can still turn around if you need to, if you just do it slow enough. By tapping the D-pad, or slowly spinning the stick. Okay, then HDS unbuffered. It's really the same thing as with the buffered version, where you have the net on your face buttons, but you just don't hit select. It's the same thing. It's just a bit tighter to do the timing, because you have to be relatively quick. But there's only 2 difficult parts in the unbuffered. One of them is the jump, which is also difficult in buffered. But with unbuffered, you also have to make sure that when you switch to the net, that you are holding L3, because otherwise this will happen. That will happen if you don't make sure you're holding L3 when you switch. And that's actually a good way to segue into the ways you can fail it. So there's 2, or well, technically 3 ways you can fail it. But let's just say 2, because the first one I was thinking of is where you pass too quickly like this, because if you pass too quickly you can't exit out of first person. Like I was mashing it there and it wouldn't let me exit. But the 2 real ways you can fail it is, like I said previously, that you're not crawling when you you're not holding L3 when you switch over to the net. Okay, it makes you do that. And the other way to fail it is if you do that, where you crawl swing instead. That just simply means that you missed the 4-frame timing to jump out of the ground pound, but otherwise you did everything correctly. You can also, instead of flying up like this, you can also direct your HDS. Let me go back down there. Actually, here's good. So you can direct your HDS where you want if you run before you do it. Like I'm running and then I jump. So you can see I'm moving forward. You just have to make sure that you die when you hit the ground. That you hold up when you're in the ground pound and jumping out. Otherwise you won't fly anywhere. So you run, do the inputs ground pound, and then you hold up right now and jump out. Okay, I missed the timing, but it's that. And you don't have to run the direction you wanna go. So let's say in an example like this, I don't have space to run left and right, but let's say I want to fly that way from here. So I can run forwards this way, and during the ground pound I'll just hold right and I'll fly right. Like that. I don't think there's that many uses for this in a run, but it's really useful to know if you ever have to do it. Okay, sometimes you can do that, and I actually have no clue why that happens. Because you do the crawling state thing correctly, and you do get the jump out of the ground pound, but sometimes when you try to do a moving HDS, you just like do that. And I have no clue why that happens. Okay, then you can also delay the net swing on the HDS. So instead of holding the right stick up and then jumping, you can jump and then hit the right stick to a direction. Like this. So I waited a bit into the jump before I swung. So now you can see I'm moving upwards, even slower. But you can also do that while falling down out of the jump. So you can float down like that. I'm still in HDS even though I'm just not moving anywhere. So with that downwards thing, you can use to your advantage while moving, because when you hit the ground, you'll stay on that like height level. So if you have to cross a straight gap and you don't want to like fly up, you can do a downward HDS like that. Hit the ground and hit the ground and fly forwards with that level of height. So let me do that here. Like that. I hit the ground, it leveled me out, and now I'm flying on this height level until I let go. Was really fast. So next up, you can also do HDS out of water. This is the easiest use of HDS, or the easiest like way to do HDS, and it's actually quite useful in a few spots in the run. So all you have to do is to crawl first person while you fall in the water. So in this case you want to jump in the water, flick the right stick down, and then hold L3 until you are in the water, like this. You can also hold the right stick down like I did, because I'm just used to doing it like that for some reason. And now you have HDS like stored, let's say it like that, why not? So you can do whatever you want in the water and it won't ruin it unless you swing your net or club out of the water, which will activate it. So when you want to fly out, let's say I swim over here and I want to fly inside this rock. So I hold the right stick to any direction with the net equipped and jump, and you just fly out. Okay, let me quickly try to explain why I think the trick works. And it's because because you interrupt your first person crawl. Because I don't think the devs intended you to be able to do this, because there's no reason to. So when you interrupt that by, let's say, during a mid-air crawl, you switch to the net, you interrupt it, the game thinks you're still crawling, but you actually aren't anymore. So you're in like a Schrödinger's crawling state where you are crawling and aren't crawling at the same time. And this causes the swingable gadgets, like the club and the net. And if you have your net and club stolen, the button for a stolen gadget also works, but not that well. And why I think it's a glitched out crawling state is simply because if you do it into water, or if you go to water normally and jump, you stay on the surface like this. But if you do first person crawling and interrupt it with landing in water, and you jump now, you dive for a moment. And to dive you have to press L3 to crawl. So that's my theory on why it's in the weird crawling state. And running around normally or standing normally gets rid of that state, so that's why you have 4 frames to jump out of the ground pound. And being in water doesn't disable or cancel the state, so you can just fly out whenever you want. So since it works by interrupting your first person crawl, you can do it off a ledge grab. This isn't really useful anywhere in the run, and it's kind of difficult, but it's worth to note. So you want to face like away from a ledge, so that when you go to first person with the slingshot, you turn like towards the ledge. So you want to slowly inch towards the ledge, and when you think you're about to fall off, you want to first person crawl by flicking the right stick and holding L3. I think I got it there. It's a bit difficult to get the crawl in there, so let's see if I got it. So now you're in the weird crawling state, and you can perform HDS again by holding the right stick up and jumping at the correct time. Yes, exactly like that. Okay, and since, again, HDS works by interrupting the first person crawl state, you can also do it by getting hit by an enemy, like let me show you here. The timing out of the jump is kind of difficult, but it's possible. Let me kill this guy and do it with the face cannon. Yeah. First person crawl, then jump out. Yeah, like that. And it doesn't even have to be an enemy or a hard enemy like that one that does full cookie of damage. You can also do it from the enemies in the first level, for example, that do half a cookie of damage. but that's slightly harder because your animation for being knocked back is shorter, so you have less time to jump. But this also means that you can do HDS out of fall damage. Like that. I did it out of fall damage there. Okay, you can also do the horizontal HDS with a club, because it doesn't make you go up at all, so you don't have to time your swing when you fall down from a jump. You can just hold up. But the difference with club HDS and net HDS is that club makes you catch onto edges. So if I try to do it with a club here, I get stuck on this edge. It's very situational like that. I have no clue if that's actually useful anywhere, but I think it's worth to note in this video.